Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Army Reenlistment's live stream. We're here tonight. We're gonna do a little something different. We weren't here last week. This week, we're gonna go and we're gonna tell you a little bit about our Army story, the team re-up, and then we're also gonna talk about how we became career counselors, and then we're gonna take your Q&A. We're gonna take your questions. So make sure that you're asking questions. Hope you guys are really anticipating this one. We missed you guys last week, but life gets crazy sometimes. All right, so what we're going to do is going to start with Sergeant First Class AJ Sadler. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself and his Army story. AJ?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Am I good now?
You're good now.
So my Army story actually began in the Marine Corps. So I was in the Marines from 2000 2004. I did a deployment, and after that deployment, I was like, I'm done. I want to get out. I want to become a civilian. You know, I'm more important than how I feel right now. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna do great things. I'm gonna get that 6-figure job. You know, I'm gonna do something. And I got really good jobs whenever I got out of the military. I did, but I realized that I did not like working with civilians at all. Like I was a customer service manager at a Walmart, and my cashiers, they were like, "Hey, why don't you ever say please or thank you?" And I was like, "You get paid twice a month. Please, thank you." And that wasn't conducive to a good work environment. So
it doesn't really work.
No, it does not. So especially around a customer service manager, because you know anybody that's ever had a job at Walmart, like customers like, "Hey, I'm never coming back here." Okay, see you tomorrow. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to come back in. I got out of the Marine Corps. I had made some rank, so I was like, "Hey, I'm going to go back in the Marine Corps." I went to the Marines, and they were like, "Yeah, we can work with you, but know that it's going to be a long process." And I was like, "Well, I've already quit my jobs, so that's not going to work for me." Walked straight by the Navy because I didn't want to join the Navy. Air Force was like, "Oh, we don't take prior service," because I wanted a sweet job after the Marine Corps, so I was like, Air Force, that's the way to go. And they didn't have the Space Force at that time. And then the Army recruiter, he was like, "You know what? We can have you out of here in 2 months."
Yeah.
I was like, done. He was like, "You got to." I was big. I was a big kid. So he's like, "Hey, you got to lose some weight." That was no problem. Lost some weight, and then came in the Marine Corps. Or came in the Army, and I was like, they were like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Infantry," because that's what I was before. I was like, "I want to do nothing but infantry," and they're like, "Cool." Went to MEPS, and they were like, "Oh, you want to be infantry? Cool, 91 Bravo." I was
That's
like,
close.
Yeah. It was basically, it's basically infantry.
It had a Bravo in it.
Yeah. And so I was like, "No." So I said the infantry, and they were like, "There's no openings for prior service." Because with prior service rules, if you're prior service military branches, when you come back in, they have different set of rules for you. So I was like, "It's that or nothing," and they're like, "Yeah, it's that or nothing. You can wait a little while and try to come back again." I was like, "No, I got to make a paycheck." So I joined. I came in as a sergeant, E5, and I didn't know anything about mechanics. Like I was that NCO that was in the motor pool. Like now TMs, I was good at finding stuff. I was good at looking stuff. I was good at following that TM, but I was not a mechanic at all. Like my idea of being a mechanic was driving my vehicle to someone that got paid to do it.
Yeah.
Why am I going to get dirty when I can pay you, $80 to change my oil for me? I didn't understand it. So I tried to reclass. Every time I came up for reenlistment, I was like, "Hey, I want to reclass." "Well, you got this or this or this," and none of those MOSs, none of them were any better for me. Yeah. So Master Sergeant retired Pools was like, "Hey, why don't you go to Germany?" I was like, "Okay, I'll go to Germany." So I reenlisted between him and Sergeant Major Jensen. I reenlisted with them a couple of times, and I went to Germany. After Germany, in Germany is where I met. I was actually gonna get out after Germany. I was like, "Hey, I'm done with this. I'm gonna get out and become an MMA fighter."
I like it. I like it.
I got hands, and I enjoyed watching MMA, and I owned a ton of Affliction, so I knew that I was going to succeed at it. While I was there, the retention NCO, they were leaving, and they were like, "Hey, you should." I've always been good at being. I'm a professional troll. Like I've always been good talking to people, and
Tis true.
yeah, I'm a professional troll, and I was good at that. I was good at talking to kids. So she was like, "Hey, you should be a retention NCO," and I was like, "Sure." And somebody else, the company commander, first time was like, "Aren't you getting out?" And I was like, "Yeah, you don't have to buy the car to sell it." So as a retention NC, I was getting all these, and my career counselor at that time was Mass Not Retired Tam Tran, and I was rolling numbers as a retention NCO for him. I was like I was good. I had the gift of gab, so I had all these soldiers, coming him to re-enlist, and he was like, "Hey, you should be a career counselor," and I was like, "No, I don't think so." Because I was like, what's the requirements? He was like, "Hey, you have to get promotable status." I was like, "Well, I'm already promotable," because they back then they had ALI. So I was like, I don't have to go to a board and then I'm going to get promoted afterwards. Okay. And he was like, "No, see, yes, technically, but I want you to go to the board." Well, I did all that, and then I had to re-enlist to meet that SR, because whenever you reclass, you have these positions, these jobs where you have to meet the SR for them, and career counselor is one of those. So that was one of the last times I re-enlisted, and then why I became a career counselor, that was because I was really good at talking to people as a retention NCO and getting them to make a decision that was the best for them, the best. They might not have seen it at the time, but then like one of my favorite stories was getting a kid. I didn't just talk to the soldiers. I made sure that they brought their families in. So like my favorite story in Germany was I had this soldier who said, "Oh, I'm getting out." I was like, "Oh, okay. You sure? There's nothing I can do for you." He was like, "No." Well, I knew his wife worked at the bank, and this was in Grafenwöhr, Germany. I knew his wife worked at the bank, so I just happened I needed to deposit some money. So I went to the bank and I was like, "Hey, I hear you guys are getting out." And she was like, "No, what are you talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, he's in his re-enlistment window. He says he's ETSing." And she goes, "We're not ETSing." I was like, "Oh, okay. Maybe it was miscommunication between me and your husband. My bad." And the next morning, I usually got in my office like 7:30. He was already standing out there. He's like, "Sar, why'd you do that to me?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "You talked to my wife. You told her that I was getting out. I didn't told her that." I was like, "Oh." And he ended up re-enlist for 4 years. So whenever I worked with that, I was like, "Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life." And then that is basically my Army story. Between my time in the Marine Corps, which I love, like if you guys have watched that opening thing, the digi print in the background, I can't say I meant for that to happen. Yeah, but I wasn't exactly upset by it. So yeah, that's my Army story.
No, that's awesome, man. So now that you're a career counselor, how did you join Team Re-Up?
So how I joined Team Re-Up was I became a career counselor in 2014. In 2015, I deployed, and while I was deployed, I found out about the Career Counselor of the Year competition, and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to do this." So I Googled. I knew everything in the Army had a study guide, so I Googled Career Counselor Study Guide, and this ArmyReenlistment.com website came up, and I scrolled through it and I found the Career Counselor of the Year Study Guide. Where the Career Counselor of the Year Study Guide was like, it hadn't been updated like 2 or 3 years at that time. So I emailed the website and was like, "Hey, my name's so and so, and I was wondering if it'd be okay if I updated this." And lo and behold, at that time, Sergeant Major Matt Quick, now Mr. Quick, was like, "Sure, go ahead." And that was one of the first times I came across somebody in the Army who was willing to provide information, like didn't hoard information, or you didn't, didn't make sure only they were known for something. And so a few years, the next year, the next time Study Guide came out, a Sergeant First Class Samantha Block came on and started helping with it. And then a few years down the road, Matt was like, "Hey, you want to help with the Facebook page?" And then from there, "Hey, you want to help with the website?" And the reason I wanted to become part of ArmyReenlistment.com was the sharing of information. I've never liked people that keep information to themselves and don't provide it to everyone. Creating a name for themselves. Like this, what we do creates a name for us, but it's more than that. It's more the information for the soldier and making sure the soldier has the information first. No matter what happens for me or happens for any of us, what happens for the soldier is the most important thing.
Most definitely. At the end of the day, we're gonna be here, but we're gonna leave, and the Army's gonna keep going. And I really appreciate that. Now we're gonna bring on Sam. It's our first class block. Let's tell us about why you wanted to join the Army.
Well, so I joined a little bit later in life. I was 25 when I joined. I was finishing up my bachelor's degree, and they actually told me that I had to wait until I completed my bachelor's degree, which was 6 months. I actually joined off of a broken heart. So I literally went down the gauntlet. I stopped at the Marines and I was like, hey, I want to join the Marines. And they're like, you have asthma. No, bye. I said, okay. The next stop was the Army. I walked in. I was like, hey, I got asthma. Can I join? And they're like, yup. And I was like, and Roger, because further down was the Navy and the Air Force, and I was just going to turn around and walk out. So, and at the time, I was going for my bachelor's degree in human services with minor in paralegal. So I ended up joining as an MP because I like the law and I like psychology. So I was like, well, I can kind of do both.
MPs definitely do both.
Yeah. And then they were pushing me to become an officer. And I was like, I don't come from a military family. I can't lead people if I don't know about it, so maybe I'll do it later. So a couple years later, I was going to drop my OCS packet, and after I deployed, that was a plan, but due to medical issues, I was unable to at that time. And then I happened to be pregnant with my second child, and obviously a pregnant MP can't work the road, so they put me in S1. And I was the NCO IC of S1. And my career counselor happened to walk in and goes, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a career counselor? And I was like, what's a career counselor? I don't even know what it is. The people who re-enlist. And I was like, I guess. Sure. So I went and talked to, he's like, come talk to me after you're done. At the time, Sergeant First Class James Klink, now Mass Sergeant. And he's like, come talk to me when you come off your maternity leave. So I did. And he was actually leaving to go to a different brigade. So Mass Sergeant retired Tony Kiesler was the one who actually put me in the field. And I worked under him, but I was in Hawaii. So they had just paid for my battle buddy to go to the career counselor course. So they weren't going to pay for two of us. So I had to wait a year and a half before I could even go to the career counselor course. And I ended up serving as a full-time retention NCO. So I worked in the career counselor office, in the retention office. I was special, but I was in charge of doing all the ceremonies, and I would cover down and assist with EOD because in 8th MP Brigade, we had EOD attached to us, and they didn't have a counselor because they weren't like big enough. So it was like my battalion, my baby battalion. And then in 2014, I went off and became a career counselor.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then like AJ had said, I was doing the same thing. I was getting ready to go to the board and I was looking through. I'm like, there's got to be a study guide. There's got to be something. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I Googled it, found the study guide, and I too emailed Matt and said, hey, I know you run Army Reenlistment. Do you care if I update this? And he was like, actually,
it hadn't been updated in a long time, right? I want to put this in perspective. Like it had been like years, right? Because I want to say when I first became a career counselor, and I got told I was going to the career counselor of the year board. I looked at the study guide, and I think I want to say it was updated in like 07, maybe. Oh, hey, we have a special guest.
Man, you guys got jokes tonight. Yeah, it wasn't updated. I get that, but it's great to have good people that want to do great things for the Army. And I was so overwhelmed doing everything else. So I appreciate AJ and Sam and maybe a little bit of you, Tim. But I tell you, I'm missing Shantae tonight. So, hey, keep telling your stories, Sam. I'll be right back, all right?
Yeah, so that's how I became part of the study guide team. It was me and AJ for years. And then we ended up getting on a new person who now, AJ, because he's off doing bigger and better things at the schoolhouse over there. Now it's me and Sergeant Justin Marsham, who's, you know, him and I are the ones who are updating it now. So if any career counselors out there want to assist, I'm just saying, you can shoot me an email. But yeah, so, but I love my job. I became a career counselor because I like taking care of soldiers. I like working with soldiers, and I've always been one who looks at all of the soldiers in my footprint, not just, I get to be everybody's NCO, not just the, not just my squad or my platoon or my company. I get to be everybody from the CSM and colonel to the private E1 type.
And you don't have to write tickets anymore.
That's what I love about it.
And no more tickets,
I don't
just
have
contracts.
to write tickets anymore. And actually, funny story, one of my counselors here at Bragg, him and I deployed together as MPs. And now we're career counselors.
Full circle. It comes back full circle.
A lot about that.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yep.
That's good stuff.
Yep.
Matt's in the background right now, so I'm going to tell you my Army story, and then we're going to let Matt come on and talk about the team re-up story. So my Army story is not as cool as these guys' story. I was a bad kid. Really wasn't a good student. I mean, I really scored high on the SATs. Like, I was one of them smart kids that didn't do enough. So I joined the Army. I went to MEPS. I'm a city kid. I literally left the city of Boston maybe 4 times before I joined the Army. So all I know is the trains and the buses routes. I know them down packed, but then I didn't know anything else. So long story short, I go to MEPS. They tell me I could be at 88 Hotel. They lied to me, right? 88 Hotel, cargo specialist. It is a great MOS for some people. It was not for me, right? But they lied to me and told me I could come back to Logan Airport and work there. But I had to go to Virginia first. I had to do 3 years in Virginia. Then I could come work at Logan Airport as a soldier. I was like, dang, I'd never seen a soldier at Logan before. But at the same time, I'd never flown before. So I didn't know if people were really there. So he lied to me, right? My recruiter, 79 Romeos. Good job. Shout out to the recruiters out there, right? So I joined the Army, and I was a bad soldier. I was that soldier that if you told me to get something done, I was going to get it done. But I was hard-headed. Made specialists a few times, actually 4. So I was just all over the place, but I had potential. All my leaders always told me I had potential. Like, hey, you're a leader. Like, I'll be the private to be like, all right, man, we got to get this done. All right, you do this, you do this, you do this. And the NCO just standing back there like, okay, actually, yeah, let Donahue run this thing. I'm just going to go sit back in the shade and just chill while they do this, right? But long story short, I go on deployment, OIF 1, 2. I come home for a long weekend. And my plan was do my time in the Army and get back out and go back to Boston. I used to fly to Boston all the time. I was stationed in Newport News at Fort Eustis. They had AirTran. AirTran was the best thing that ever happened to me and the worst thing that ever happened to me. They had $75 round trip tickets to Boston from Newport News. It was a 45-minute flight. I was home all the time, right? So I come back. I came back from my deployment. I go home on a 4-day pass during Labor Day weekend 2004. I was home and I got shot. Got shot in my right leg with a 45, and it was a yellow jacket, so it exploded. So my muscle in my right leg and the perennial muscle, it died. It's dead. I have no muscle. I got drop foot, right? And I had not planned to join the Army, stay in the Army. I go to the hospital. They were like, at first, they were like, hey, you know what? We got like 4 double homicides that just came in. You got shot in the leg. Hey, can you come back on Tuesday? I was like, I really can't come back on Tuesday. I'm supposed to be back at work on Monday. Can we do something? So then they put this big needle in my leg, this big ass needle. It was like probably like a foot long. And it took the muscle pressure. And the muscle was like 10,000 times more than it was supposed to. They're like, oh no, you're not going nowhere. We got to get you into the hospital. We got to get you into surgery. So I go up to surgery. I still don't plan on staying in the Army. I'm staying on convalescent leave in Boston at my mom's house. And literally, the reason why I re-enlisted was during that whole time. I'm on the couch at my mom's house in Boston. I'm sitting there. I'm just not doing anything. I'm playing Madden 05 on my PS2. And my mom and dad are looking at me like, hey, Lexi, I can't tell all of the story. Gosh, you can't give it all out, right? But my mom and dad are like, hey, what are you doing, right? So then I get a bill. I get a bill for the surgery from TRICARE. Look, I saw that bill, and I had got the muscle removed. I stayed in the hospital for about 10 days. I had physical rehabilitation. I had a nurse that came to my parents' house and took a thing out. I got a skin graft. It was a little piece of skin they took off the side of my ass, and they stretched it over my leg. And that cost damn near $40,000. Like, it was crazy. My bill was in the hundreds of thousands. My first thought, I'm going to Canada. I got a cousin up there. I'm good. I ain't paying this, like, right? But then I looked at the very bottom because I was a specialist. I didn't know no better, right? So I didn't have no kids. So I look at the bottom and it says, what you paid? $0. I was like, oh, okay. But what other thing that got me that whole time was my chain of command cared about me. Before, I just thought of the Army like it was a job. Like, it was just like, hey, I'm checking in 9 to 5, boom, boom. The first people that called me after I got shot while I was in the hospital, I don't even know how they found me, was my battalion sergeant major, my first sergeant, my commander, all of them. And I saw after that, I started to realize that the Army wasn't just a job. It was a lifestyle, it was a family. It was something that you don't see every day. So I decided to re-enlist. I was still at 88 Hotel, living my life. And then one day I just got stuck being a retention NCO, right? And I can sell you anything, right? So I just looked at it like it was a hustle. All right, this is your additional duty. Boom. My career counselor, Nia Robinson, was like, hey, Sergeant Donnie, you have a mission to this and that. I was like, oh, that's it? I'll get you that today. She's like, what? No, you're not gonna get that today. So I would go and get people and bring them back. She's like, damn, they have a line out of her office. And she's just like, okay. So I did the retention SEO thing. And she's like, hey, you ever thought about becoming a career counselor? I was like, what's that? Like, she's like, what I do? I was like, oh, you just tell somebody to come bring soldiers to you and you re-enlist them? She's like, that's not what I do, but that's what you think I do. But we'll figure that out as we go along. Became a career counselor, man. It changed my life. I've pretty much taken my time as the career counselor, just like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. When he looked at the iPad and he saw what Isaiah Thomas said, he said, and I took it personal every time. Every time I feel like I'm slighted, I take it personal and I work harder. And I've always done that. I was told I was only picked because I was a profile guy. Showed them something. I was told that, hey, this guy is the best this soldier is the best career counselor we have on installation. I showed him something. I took it personal and I went with it. And it's been the best decision I've ever made in my life. Right now, I love my job as a senior. Senior is the best job in our field, in our career field. I got soldiers and they are killing it. My soldiers right now are 1 in 3 in the entire Army in re-enlistments. Like, that's crazy. And they're doing it all by themselves. I'm just there to get to boost them up and to give them some of that dad motivation. I know how to work a little bit of mind games with them, so they know what's up. We still need 16 this week, or our goal of 17. What made me join Team Re-Up? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. During the pandemic, right? I was doing a lot of trolling on Facebook, right? And so I had seen Army Re-Enlistment. I know that AJ's on there. I know that Matt's on there, and they sometimes they get a little saucy with their comments when we post something on Facebook. So I'm like, okay. And there was one in particular that I saw, and I literally sent a message to AJ on Facebook Messenger. I said, hey, can I get the password to the Army Re-Enlistment so I could just troll some people real quick? And he's like, how about I ask Matt real quick? And next thing I know, Matt calls me. Matt's like, hey, Tim, we go way back. How would you like to join Team Re-Up? I said, do I get access to the Facebook? He's like, yep, you get access to the Facebook. I was sold.
So to clarify, now people know, like, if you get those good comebacks, if you get those people that, like, wow, who is this? It's going to be one of us three.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of us three. But
it's not going to be me for clarification. I'm going to be nice and kill you with kindness, just so you know.
If it's really mean, it's actually Sam.
Does the same.
If it's really, really mean, it's actually Sam and Shantae. They are really mean with it. But Now that we've told our Army story, let's bring in the boss.
Hey, sometimes we make mistakes. So, Tim, my apologies to everybody on the site watching or interacting with Army Enlistment. Tim was a mistake. hey, Tim, we're glad to have you, man. But seriously, so like AJ, my story started in the Marine Corps too. Mine was a little different. I'm not built like a Marine. My brother was in the Marine Corps, so I joined. I realized, you know what? I'm not Marine material. I need to get in the Army where it's easier. That's what I did. Did my 4 years in the Marine Corps, got out, joined the Army. And really, I was walking around the Pentagon one day. What was
your job in the Marines?
So in the Marine Corps, I was a rifleman because every Marine's a rifleman. Just so you know that.
I'm learning.
My primary job besides rifleman was the SRB clerk. So if you don't know what the SRB clerk is
that like a 42 Alpha?
Well, kind of like that. Yeah, you can say that. But you can make fun all you want to. But
I'm not making. I was at 88 Hotel. I'm not making fun of you.
You better not make fun of nobody. Hey, but check it out. Hey, so if you're watching this, give some likes and some reactions and loves. These guys do some great work here. I love just popping on once in a while and see what goes on. I like smacking Tim around to make sure he's doing the right thing for everybody. So give him some reactions. Great stuff. But the reason I became a career counselor in the first place because I was working in the Pentagon, working with General Shinseki staff in the Pentagon, Army Chief of Staff, and I went down for lunch one day and I saw a soldier with a badge I hadn't recognized before. So I said, "Hey, what's that badge?" He goes, "Oh, it's a career counselor badge." I'm like, "I want to be a career counselor." He's like, "Nah, it's not for you." Oh, okay, that pissed me off. So cool. So I went back to work. And then I started doing the research. I wanted to be a career counselor. And then I was leaving the Pentagon. The chief of staff was retiring. So I went over to Fort Myer back then, asked about being a career counselor. So I get there and there's some sergeant first class says, she sits me down. She goes over my stuff. She goes, "No, you can't really be a career counselor because you haven't worked retention yet." I'm like, well, that's kind of messed up, right? So I went back to the Pentagon. And while the chief of staff was leaving, he asked us all, "What is it you want to do when you leave the Pentagon?" People want to go to Hawaii. Some people want to go to MEP stations. Some want to go home. I said, "You know what? I want to be a career counselor." So he signs a letter for me to be a career counselor. I brought it over to that same sergeant first class. I said, "Now I want to be a career counselor." Guess who became a career counselor without having to be a retention NCO? This guy. It's that kind of stuff that really got me aggravated a little bit, but it's why I work so hard for the people, because I know that there are some gatekeepers out there that aren't empowered to say yes or no. They're just there to be a burden for me. So that's all it is for me. The reason I created the Army Reenlistment site was I was going to the career counselor course, and I said, "Hey, why doesn't the Army have a retention website?" Well, they don't want to fund it. Cool. I'll learn some HTML coding. I'll build it myself. So I did a class site initially, which really blew up over years. And listen, I've been having fun the whole time. So I've always been behind the scenes. You never knew my name was on the site at all because it was about Army Reenlistment. It wasn't about Matt Quick. And it still isn't. Now it's about Tim Donahue.
It's not about me. It's not about me. It's never about me. None of this has ever been about me.
And that was the reason why. Listen, I was a 4 and done guy myself. I wanted to do 4 years of Marine Corps, be done. I wanted to come in the Army for 4 years, improve the Army as a Marine, be done. But you know what? Honestly, here's the truth. I was too damn lazy to get out. That's what it comes down to. But it worked out for me. It worked out for other people. So that's why we have these things. This is why the platform is here. I like providing some opportunity for AJ, Tim, Sam, and Shantae to really take this to the next level. And that's what it's about. So if you're out there listening, if you're a career counselor, if you're a retention NCO, or if you're a soldier that wants to be a career counselor or retention NCO, contact us.
Yeah,
we have no problem bringing you on the team, putting you on live, giving you some responsibilities. This is called volunteer work, which is still experience.
Yep.
So we don't mind growing the team to 5 or 10 people. We need a transition specialist. we have a great team, but we can always expand. So if you're willing to put some hours in, not too many hours, AJ doesn't work that hard anymore. Tim either. It's more Shante doing all the work and Sam now these days. But hey, contact the team. Have the conversation. That's all it comes down to. So, hey, Tim, thanks for the opportunity to jump on here, and I appreciate you making fun of me. And AJ, the reason why I was outdated for so long because I was so damn busy doing everything else. All right.
You were not. Hold on. Let's not lie. You were not busy when that was happening.
He was waiting for me. He was just. It was a time and place. He was waiting for me to come along.
I needed a Marine.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Just like you needed me at drum. I understand.
That was my mistake too.
Hey, I'm just saying, you were real quick to respond to my email, Matt.
Listen,
real quick to respond to my email. So
I don't
know how busy you were.
I was always about empowerment, but really, it's like shifting things. Hey, Sam, AJ, you want to do it? Thank God.
I think that's actually in the email.
It probably is. I probably still have it.
Yeah, so I know that you weren't busy in 2015 because I worked directly for you, and you weren't allowed to even be on Retain at that time. We wouldn't even let you check anything but like be on YouTube and stuff.
It's funny you mention that because when I got to 10th Mountain Division, Climate Glory, it was a great organization that had some great leadership. And normally the command career counselors or retention sergeant majors weren't allowed to be on Retain, but I loved it. I can check people out. That's what I want to do. So. Hey, guys, I appreciate it. I'm out. I've got other things going on, but hey, take this thing and seriously, if you're watching the show, contact Tim, AJ, Sam, Shante. Get to know them. If you want to join the team, listen, it's all cool. We love to have you, right?
Yeah, you just have to give me a stipend every month if you want to join the team.
That makes sense.
I got Venmo and Cash App.
I bet you would.
I definitely do.
All right, team, have a good night, all right?
All right, thank you. All right, so to the audience out there, we told you our Army story. We've seen a couple of them out here. I seen one that said it was from Sam. I don't want to mess up your name. Grayry. I don't want to mess it up. He said he joined the Army. He was working overseas for the Army, and it made him join the team. That's great. If you're out there right now, make sure that you ask us some questions. We're going to be on here for a few more minutes. If you want to ask questions, we're here. It's any questions. You can ask us anything about retention. Don't ask us anything about anything. It's not them. It's not an AMA like we're on Reddit. Don't go crazy, right?
But what if I want to know if beards are going to be allowed in the military?
So I'll give you a heads up on that. It's not going to be allowed for a while, right? It's not a priority right now. We're focused on other things, but I am going to be a part of the beard small group. So yeah, I'll let you know when that happens. Yeah. It's going to be a good thing. So if you've noticed, Shantae's not on tonight. She tried really, really hard, guys. This is Shante right here. This one time, the Good Idea Fairy told me I could stream live from an airplane. Yeah, it doesn't work too well. I miss you guys. Catch up with everyone on the live next week. So actually, Shantae's on her way out to, if you didn't know, Shante is a career counselor for SFAC. And she is going to go recruit out at JBLM this week on the West Coast. So she's out there. She's flying to Fort Lewis now. She tried so hard to get on here. She was on there. All we heard was like background noise in the airport, and she had her mask on, but it just didn't work out.
We got a question from Joseph.
Okay.
Shortest wait time for SRB and the longest. So shortest always 30 to 45 days. You're gonna get that answer always because that's the standard. Now longest, that depends on holidays. That depends on if whoever presses that button at HRC is on leave. Yep. There's a couple things that can affect that. So, but 30 to 45 days is the shortest amount of time. The longest, you're probably 60, 90 days, something like that.
Yeah, usually, we always tell you 30 to 45 days. Always. That's the answer, right? Now, if something comes in your bank account a little bit earlier, hey, good luck to that, right? Just don't spend it don't spend it all before you know if it really cleared the check or not, right? But see Shane McGonigal. I think that you're talking about. Are you talking about Colonel Donahue in 82nd? I'm not. My sector of the Donahue family, we're kind of bastards. We're like we're just left in Boston by ourselves.
Is that what the B stands for?
Yeah, B is for Boston Bastards. That's what it is. It's actually so it's all around, right? Now people are gonna call me the Boston Bastard. I messed up. I really messed up. All right, but no,
It was a
Shane,
setup. It was a
Yeah,
setup.
you did.
it was totally a setup. But Shane, no, not that I know of. He might be my uncle or something. He might be my dad. I don't know. You never know in this world. We also had a question from Izzy Herrera. What about bringing commanders to the forum so we can hear what they think about retention? That's we've been discussing topics, and that is definitely something that we're thinking about doing. The best idea for commanders though is to understand retention. They got to understand it's their program. And the career counselors and the retention NCOs, that's got to be their main goal, is to prove that is their program, right? At the end of the day, we're going to re-enlist soldiers that come our way, but if the command is not involved, then their programs will fail, and you'll see that. And all three of us can attest to that. Every last one of us. Every last one of us. If you guys got any more questions, feel free. We'll be here for a few more minutes. If not, hey. 54th Quartermaster General for Lee, definitely not related to them then. But maybe he is. Like I said, maybe he's my cousin. Hey, tell him to watch the live, and maybe he might recognize my face or something. We could do a 23andMe. Maybe we could do it on the live stream together.
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd bring in.
And we could have the commander on at the same time. Oh, we got us another question. Here we go. Luis Rivera, what are your opinions about incorporating a retention course in all NCOES, DLC, ALC, etc.? You guys can handle this one.
I think that's an excellent idea. At least something in regards to retention, because one thing I've always heard, basically let you know who it is, what they do, like career counselors. Because I don't know how many times you guys have been called this, but we've been called retention NCOs all the time. And there's a difference. Like I get a badge, a retention NCO gets an additional duty. So what are your opinions about incorporating retention course? I think that everybody should know about retention and what retention is. So yeah, I think that career counselor, if that career counselor was able to go and talk to the BLC, ALC, MLC, that's excellent. Because I mean, commanders and first sergeants, they get that whenever they take commands. So why not allow those new leaders, those corporals, and because out of BLC now you're becoming an NCO, right? Yeah, you're getting that corporal. So why not empower these NCOs to know more about retention?
How about you, Sam? What do you feel?
I agree with AJ on that one. I think it would be great. Maybe that's something that you can bring up to your installation, the division, retention team or the core retention team, wherever you're at, about incorporating that. We may try to work our angles, but I think it would be a great idea just to do a briefing, just like other people go in and do briefings at, BLC, ALC and stuff like that. We can just get on that roster and, just have one counselor go per class or whatever. I think it would be a great idea. So that way they can understand, because really our job is to train all the NCOs as well as the command teams. We are here to train you guys on what retention is. Yes, we're the SMEs, but we're one deep. So if you got 1,000 people in your battalion, I mean, that counselor is working hard, and we really need to have the support of the NCOs and the command team to assist us, to talk to those soldiers about like, what's your plan if you want to get out of the Army. Those are all the questions that we ask. So if we can give you guys like a little briefing, that would be great. I 100% on board with that.
Yeah,
and then
I totally agree.
Another one.
Before we get to this question, I wanted to clarify something. Colonel Donahue cannot be my uncle. Colonel Donahue is a she. Thank you, Shane, for so she might be my aunt. So we can still do the 23andMe on the live stream if you want. If you get with her, Shane, we can talk to her. All right, go ahead, Sam.
So Brian Miller asks, how has the new ASCM positively or negatively affected your career counselor's duties? So really, and I'll have you guys chime in too, but really, I don't think it's affected our career counselor's duties, to be perfectly honest, because right now it's still for senior enlisted. It hasn't trickled down. Now, when it starts to trickle down to junior enlisted soldiers, that's probably gonna put a monkey wrench in what we're doing, but we'll figure out that way ahead when it comes time for that. They're still trying to figure out. I mean, the ASCM just opened, in October. So, I mean, this is still a new thing. We're still figuring it out. That's why it's only senior enlisted. And as career counselors, retention doesn't handle senior enlisted. we're re-enlisting you for needs of the Army. Your branch managers are the ones who run your careers. You and your branch managers. I said, so we don't have anything to do with it. So right now, the ASCM isn't affecting us at all. I don't think. Anybody else agree? Disagree?
So we've been in my brigade. We've been using it to our advantage. We've been using it to tell soldiers, "Hey, take advantage of while you have the opportunity," because a lot of people aren't understanding that on ASCM, you might have 30 assignments. You need to rank all 30. If you only rank 5, then numbers 6 through 30 are all number 5, and they don't understand that. So you're gonna get one of your top 10s, and that's what they tell you. And you might not like what you get, but if you come see us, we can ask. The worst thing that HRC can do for us is to say no. That's the worst thing. And if you want that location again, we'll wait 30 days and we'll ask again. But so we've been using that to our advantage. My counselors have been using that to their advantage to help soldiers positively. They've been asking them, "Hey, do you want to wait for your branch to put you on assignment?" Because branch managers can't just put a soldier on assignment anymore. They got to wait for the process now. It's taken a lot of the power out of their hands that they used to have. That would be really easy. Like if I didn't like what I was given in retain as a soldier, I could go with my branch manager, but hey, you have Korea. They always have Korea. And that's something that we could have did. I know AJ, you don't really see this from the schoolhouse perspective right now. But is it positively or negatively affecting your career counselor duties at the schoolhouse right now?
No, it hasn't affected. I don't see it affecting us. I mean, ask them. I mean, the way it's worked. Unless they change something, they changed to where the junior enlisted soldier. I mean, the only way I could see them it affecting then is if they get something better and ask them.
Yeah.
And what we can give them, but either way, that's going to cause a reenlistment. So it just means you're going to do regular Army reenlistment option rather than CONUS Station of Choice or Overseas Assignment reenlistment option. So
yeah. Now, guys, if you guys have any more questions, if not, we'll start wrapping up in a few minutes. But like we said, man, we have a lot of ideas going on. We have a lot of great things down the pipeline. A lot of great guests. We're going to incorporate different other individuals who are also using this platform to educate soldiers on different topics. So we're definitely going to keep doing this. Doesn't look like we have any more questions, guys. So we can start doing our shout outs for the week. Sam, who do you want to shout out? Yeah.
Well, I've been in and out all for the last couple of weeks due to some issues, but my battalion counselors have held it down while I was gone, and I have one retention NCO actually at the schoolhouse right now, AJ, who just started. Yesterday was day 1 for this new career counselor course, so I want to wish her luck.
Nice.
I know she'll do great things. So.
She got your stamp of approval, so she's good to go. AJ, how about you?
For me, and Tim, him, Cepeda, Sergeant First Class Galvin Cepeda. I'd like to shout out to him. He's getting ready to PCS, and he's actually getting ready to go on emergency leave because of some family. Yep. But I would like to shout out him because he was one of the training developers here with me, and we got a new course that we got thrown into, and he did an outstanding job. So I'd like to shout out him before he heads out to Hawaii.
Yeah. Chelo, that's my brother, man. Calvin Cepeda, that's my brother. For me, I'm going to shout out.
He was my classmate, actually.
Oh, man. Calvin's a great.
We became counselors together.
And I heard he's a good cook.
He's an amazing cook.
He's a great cook. Oh, my Lanta.
Oh,
amazing.
Man. He is an amazing cook. His man Musabi to die for. Me, I'm gonna shout out 18th Airborne Corps coming to visit us this week up at Fort Eustis. They didn't forget about us. Always, I'm gonna shout my counselors out. Staff Sergeant Bingham, Sergeant First Class Kern. They're killing it. I don't know if you guys understand this. The people that are watching us, combined, just the two of them have done over 300 reenlistments in 5 months. That's crazy. They're really doing a great job, and they make my job really easy. They make me look like I actually know what I'm doing. I'm also obligated by a deal I made to shout out the Force Com retention team, and specifically Master Yalixa Huddleston. I owe her. She sent me something I needed yesterday, and I owe them a shout out. The whole team, all of them, from the top to bottom, but specifically your licks up. Lexi, love you. All right, guys. Great week. Hey, keep showing the site love. We
Tim,
will take
real quick.
Sam got something. It's you.
So I want to shout out 82nd Airborne Division Retention. You brought up a good point. So they have coordinated a reenlistment ceremony in DC next week. I'm actually walking the line and doing my last reenlistment in the Army next week in DC. So I want to shout out 82nd Airborne Division Retention Team, Sergeant First Class Yarbrough, Sergeant First Class Zadra, Sergeant Major Whitney, Staff Sergeant Henderson, because you guys, I mean, with COVID going on, nobody being able to go to TY to be able to pull this off. So 2 from every brigade, and actually myself and Staff Sergeant Lies, which is one of my career counselor, we're both reenlisting in DEF in DC. So thank you for that.
I love calling Lies, even though his name is Lease. But he used to lie in the career council course when I was his instructor. But before we leave, we definitely want to shout out Shantae. Shantae, we miss you. Have fun on the flight. Don't get too much sleep. And all right, guys, we'll call it a night. We'll see you guys next week.